Greetings, this is Charlie Wharton, and welcome to our Creating Contentment podcast. Our goal with this effort is to try to get a head start on making the most of our opportunities. We hope to help you get your week started off on the right foot, and we hope to lay some groundwork for developing the contentment that can lead to an abundant life. Often when we think about contentment, we imagine something happening to us that brings a smile to our face. However, when we really examine it, contentment isn't something that happens to us, it's something we choose. Interestingly, contentment isn't just a one-time grand decision, it's made up of daily decisions to just keep going. As I thought about this process, I was reminded of something I experienced several years ago. I had a coworker who wanted to run a half marathon and was looking for someone to run it with her. I'd never really been much of a runner, but I thought that it sounded like an interesting challenge, so I agreed to not only run the race with her, but also to train with her. 13.1 miles is a long ways, especially for somebody who isn't much of a runner and somebody who really doesn't like running all that much, but we did it. Now, while I'm proud of my accomplishment, when I look back on this time, the thing that is most impactful is remembering what led us to the finish line. There was the planning of our schedule to make sure that we got our miles in. There was the daily training in the heat, the cold, the wind, and whatever else nature had in mind for us. And even in the middle of the race, when you would think that you could do it on adrenaline alone, there were the doubts and the pains, but we kept going. Through it all, the thing that made it possible was putting one foot in front of the other each and every day of the training and all 13.1 miles of the race. As I reflect on this time in my life, I'm reminded of something the Apostle Paul wrote to his young protege, Timothy, as he prepared for what appears to be the final days of his life on earth. He observed, "For I am already being poured out as a drink offering, and the time of my departure has come. I have fought the good fight, I have finished the course, I have kept the faith. In the future there is laid up for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will award to me on that day, and not only to me, but also to all who have loved his appearing." That comes from 2 Timothy chapter 4, verses 6 through 8. Paul in some way seems to compare his life to a long-distance race. He's convinced of his accomplishment because he had lived his life focused on that moment. But to get there, he had taken all the steps that he needed to take, and he kept going. So what does it take to maintain our contentment as we run this race of life? Well, let's take a look at 4 keys. The first one is that we must start our purposeful journey. There are very few significant things that happen by accident. Most substantial accomplishments are planned. And I believe the same thing can be said about an abundant life. Like running a long-distance race, we need to start by deciding this is what we want to accomplish. Are we wanting to make the most of our lives? If so, we need to make it a point to commit to it. Are you ready to start out on a journey of a lifetime? Decide that it begins today and start heading for that finish line. Now, it wouldn't hurt to make some sort of declaration to announce that starting here and now, you're beginning something new. It would also probably be a pretty good idea to put some reminders around you that remind you of your decision and your commitment. But remember, the journey of a lifetime begins with one purposeful step. You got to take it. The second thing that we can do to find this life of contentment is to develop a plan for success. Distance runners who are committed to their goals make conscious decisions to help them accomplish those goals. They come up with a training schedule. They purchase shoes and clothes that improve their chances of success. They develop a nutrition program that fuels their bodies through the process. Those who are wanting to venture out on their life of contentment need to develop their own plan for their lives. The people who are looking to accomplish godly goals will consult the plan found in the Bible. You see, the Bible isn't a history reference guide or even a science textbook. It's the guide for spiritual living. If our goal is to finish a spiritual life at the gates of heaven, we need to rely on it to get us there and to sustain us as we run our race. I think a third important point is that we must not give up. Planning on accomplishing a goal is a necessary piece, but it's not the hardest part. The grind of accomplishing the goal can be tough, and it can be tempting to give up. We can either stop our training or we can quit in the middle of the race, but the only way a runner will reach their goal is to keep going. It's easy to become frustrated and discouraged as we run our spiritual race, but we must have the courage and the commitment to keep going. It won't always be easy. It won't always be pretty. In fact, sometimes it'll be just downright ugly, and we won't always set our personal best. But the only way to accomplish the goal is to never give up. I think this is why sharing our spiritual journey with others is a good strategy. People can provide us with encouragement. They can also hold us accountable for our decisions. When you think about it, doesn't that sound a lot like a church community? Remember, the pain might end when we stop, but the only way to feel the euphoria of accomplishing our goal is by finishing what we've started. A final thing that can help us on our journey is to keep looking forward. One of the most difficult parts of long-term accomplishments is to get bogged down in where you are. When we start to list the pains that we have, when we start to think about how tired we are, when we start to think about how many times we failed, we begin obsessing about the here and now, and that can become quite a challenge. Yet when we imagine crossing that finish line, we can stay committed. By thinking about the prize at the end, we can often keep going. Sure, there are tricks we can employ to help get us through to the next step, but there's nothing that can push us further than focusing on the finish line. When we find a fulfilling purpose in life, we can overcome the day-to-day struggles that tend to drag us down. To overcome these challenges, let's set life goals for ourselves. Let's stay strong in our pursuit of those goals, and let's allow ourselves to feel good about the process that we're making until we cross the ultimate finish line. We wish the best for you as you work your way through your week. We hope that your journey will bring you joy, and we hope that you'll join us next week for another chance to discuss ways we can create contentment.